Good morning. Welcome to Hindu Newspaper Analysis 4th January 2023. First article said, no need for extra curbs on free speech of minister. In an interesting note, Supreme Court of India argued that CMs or even Prime Ministers doesn't have a right to restrict freedom of speech of a minister. It is noted that parliamentary democracy stood on collective responsibility. Even our constitution laid down principle that the Council of Ministers are collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha. Now, on this note, individual ministers can be restricted on some occasions. It is well noted that parliamentary procedures will have a whip, and this whip is responsible to give certain directions to the parties, and the members of the parliament or members of legislative assembly are supposed to stick towards the directions of the whip. Unfortunately, that was well equipped in the parliamentary procedures. However, Supreme Court noted that there is no need to have such restrictions on ministers in the parliamentary democracy. Of course, this judgment is now debated across the political sections, but we should remember what Supreme Court said in this particular case. It said that individual minister is responsible for decisions taken collectively by the Council of Ministers, but his individual decisions is important and allowed, should not be restricted under Constitution Article 19 Clause 2. So let us wait and watch for the next developments in this regard. Next article talks about Government of Andhra Pradesh recent ban on public meetings and rallies on state and national highways. Now, Government of India utilized a certain guidelines under Police Act 1861, and it put forward a government order, a GO, which said that public meetings and rallies are banned on the roads. This was taken with respect to the recent incidents happened in Kandukuru and other regions of Andhra Pradesh. Now, this is seriously violating Article 19 Clause 1 subsection B of the Indian Constitution, the right to conduct a public meeting on public roads and streets. However, Government of Andhra Pradesh is put forward in that it is subject for regulation under Police Act Section 30. So this is a serious hampering or restrictions on the democracy and democratic assembly also. Let us wait and watch for the next developments. This point can be useful threats to the democracy in answer writing of civil service examination. Next article talks about demonetization. This editorial spoke about the upholding demonetization. Supreme Court failed to hold government accountable. Now, others criticized the demonetization in a different manner. However, I would like to give a brief inputs about the discussion as we did yesterday. Demonetization happened in India in 1946 in the British rule to ban the 1,000 and 10,000 rupees. Then in 1978, Indira Gandhi again reinitiated the demonetization to recall the notes of 1,000, 5,000 and 10,000 rupees from the market. The third demonetization happened in 2016 in Indian history, in which the main agenda is to cut down the shadow economy and to diminish the use of illicit and counterfeit cash used to fund illegal activities and terrorism. There are some pros. For example, it may help to eradication of black money as put forward by government. It can also find the tax evaders, and demonetization also helps to find out the black money holders. Then it also reduced the illegal activities. Minister of Home Affairs data said that there was huge reduction in money laundering, Naxalite activities. It also reduced the gambling and tax evasion activities. It put forward the drive of cashless economy. Today, India became one of the largest hub for digital payments in the name of UPI and credit cards, debit cards. And it also reduced the cash in the economy, which is one of the factors for driving the inflation. In other words, Minister of Corporate Affairs also stated that it is reducing the shell companies, around 2.2 lakhs shell companies closed in India in the last few years. In Supreme Court, Justice Nagaratna also mentioned that it is going to target the evils which are terrorist funding, counterfeit currency, so on and so forth. Having said this, we should remember that there are some negatives or disadvantages or even cons of this activity. First and foremost, it is the fall in GDP. Then the government of India witnessed a fall in GDP, and also daily wages struggled a lot due to loss of jobs and unable to meet their daily expenses. Agriculture industry, which depends on cash intensive industry, which need for cash is need for buying of seeds, fertilizers, it suffered a lot. And almost informal economy suffered at very high level. Having discussed all these things, we should also remember what Supreme Court said in the latest judgment. I'm just focusing on Justice B.V. Nagaratna arguments. Justice B.V. Nagaratna Madam clearly stated that the independency of the RBI or the autonomous status of RBI is severely disturbed because government unable to give directions, government unable to take suggestions from RBI. In other words, we can say section 26 clause 2 of RBI, it stated that any proposal to change the currency circulation should be taken by central board of RBI. Unfortunately, this was not implemented in letter and spirit. Apart from that, it also mentioned that demonetization should not happen for all the currencies. It should done only for any particular event, any particular currency. Apart from that, she also argued that executive order is not enough for demonetization because Parliament is the miniature of the country, which is the symbol for major policy takings and also major policy discussions. Unfortunately, Government of India failed to recognize the importance of legislative here, and it went for a simple executive order. And this demonetization should include a proper planning and execution. Unfortunately, RBI, even Government of India, unable to plan this. And later she also said that central bank opinion should be taken and central bank should have a role in giving the directions. However, central bank, that is RBI, was having a low representation in this activity. In an interesting article, Pratap Banu Mehta wrote that this demonetization is seriously raising concerns over autonomous institutions in India, because institutions play an important role. Even Greek scholars in the history of democracy noted that institutions will play an important role in democracy. However, this was not followed in this activity. So this was the background of the article and the overall view. You can read the article for further clarity. Next article said that it is crucial for India to embrace multi-domain operations. Now, author here highlighted that India should take serious measures to counter China. You should remember that in 1996, when China giving threats to Taiwan, USA sent some aircrafts. At that time, China went back because their aircrafts and the naval forces are not withstanding or not giving a suitable response to the USA forces. At that time, China retrospected its capacity and capabilities, and it started to redesign its air force and even naval force. In fact, according to USA Defense Department Pentagon, it stated that Chinese naval force is much sophisticated, and also Chinese Navy force is the largest force in the world. Even Chinese military doctrine changed a lot. Chinese military doctrine doesn't involve only personal gods. It involves electrical engineers, artificial intelligence experts, data analysts, and so on and so forth. Today, to counter China, it is very, very important to have all-round development. In the wake of recent border clashes between India and China, others suggesting that India should go for a new concept called as multi-domain operations. In simple terms, multi-domain operations architecture includes use of any sensor, positioned shooters, accomplish objectives in technical complexity, command, control and communication C3 structure. If you see Ukraine-Russia war, Ukraine having assistance of this multi-domain operations from the Western countries. This need some four-pronged strategy. First one, in a short-term manner, traditional physical domains must be stabilized with critical deficiencies should be addressed in terms of intelligence, in terms of countering operations. Second is you need to have this C3 approach, that is command, control and communication in a resilient manner, and it should be protected from all the cyber threats, and they should be synchronized and they should have a seamless engage of exchange of data. Third important one is there should be a pilot projects to test the MDO environment, that is multi-domain operations environment. The last one should have that fundamentals of MDO should be in training, should be in courses of the military operations similar to USA departments. So this is what are the suggesting in this regard. Next, Siachen Kumar's post gets first woman officer. This article highlights that for the first time ever, Indian defense personnel deployed Captain Shiva Chauhan, an woman officer at the Siachen Glacier Kumar post. We should remember that this Kumar post is quite important in Operation Meghdut. Operation Meghdut, which was happened in 1980s to protect the India's border from the Pakistan invasion. So at that point, now we have Captain Shiva Chauhan, a woman officer, which is an interesting and very appreciable thing. That's all for today. Thank you so much and Jai Hind.